This is the BiggerPockets Podcast, show 210.
You're listening to BiggerPockets Radio, simplifying real estate for investors large and small. If you're here looking to learn about real estate investing without all the hype, you're in the right place. Stay tuned and be sure to join the millions of others who have benefited from BiggerPockets.com, your home for real estate investing online.
What's going on, everybody? This is Josh Dorkin, host to the BiggerPockets Podcast, here with my co-host, Mr. Brandon Turner. What's up, man?
Hey, I don't know. Not a whole lot. What's up with you?
I'm disgusted, actually, right now.
Why are you disgusted, Josh?
Man, I got to tell you.
This better not be a rip on my beard.
It's definitively a rip in your beard. Dude, this thing is getting really disgusting.
I even trimmed the flyaways today.
You trimmed nothing.
I trimmed. Look at it's smooth.
It's grotesque, man. I love your wife. She's amazing, but
she tells me to keep going. She tells me to keep going. Yeah,
no, Heather, make him cut it.
She says keep going. She loves it.
We can't have this as the persona, as the face of this guy.
I'm going ZZ Top style. That's where I'm.
Oh my goodness! Oh my goodness! All right, now good on you. Congrats for being as manly as you are, for being able to grow a beard of such disgustingness. But
it's not your fault. You can't grow one. It's okay. We were all 12 at one point.
Challenge. Yeah, man. Anyway, so things are great. Things are going really well. We got a really cool show today.
We do?
Haven't done one of these in a while, and I'm pretty excited.
It's been at least a year, maybe even 2 years since we did a Newbie show.
Yeah, so today we've got this Newbie show, and it's great. We've got two guests and fantastic stories, and hopefully really motivating for all the newer investors out there. Yeah. So we're going to dig in and really figure out how these guys went about getting their first investment property. So great show. Very, very excited about it.
Yeah, very cool. And one thing I really like about both these interviews today is they both have this common theme of their one single property changed their entire life. Like in both cases, you guys will hear that their life was dramatically changed because of one deal. And so if you guys are listening to this thinking it takes 50 deals to be able to make any kind of change in your life, listen to these two interviews and you'll see what I'm talking about. So.
Absolutely. Yeah. I mean, that's the coolest thing about real estate. Most newbies are so afraid to get that first deal, but once they do it, it's life changing in that you get past this hurdle, right? Yeah. But in these cases, these first deals actually altered the course of these folks' lives. So it's fantastic. Well, cool. Well, before we get into it, why don't we get to today's quick tip? Nice.
All right.
Nice.
You want to take it?
Yeah, sure. All right, guys. So, I'm not sure if you know, but BiggerPockets has member blogs. So basically we allow anybody to come onto BiggerPockets and create a blog and write. It's a great way.
Could my mom come on and make a member blog?
Can she write about you?
She could. Actually, that'd be a great member blog. It's just stories about Brandon's childhood.
Oh my God. That's going to be very well read. Not. Look, anyone, as long as it's real estate related, go for it. You can create a blog. Just go to community on the navigation bar, go down to member blogs, and there you can read thousands of different blogs about all different aspects of real estate investing. You can also create your own member blog for free and start sharing your knowledge or chronicling your journey, which we love those. Those are the coolest, at least for me, which is, hey, here's a deal I just did, or hey, I'm in step 7 of trying to figure out this deal, whatever it is. Share your story. People love that. It's a great way to build community around yourself, and it's a great way to start getting people to know who you are, what you're doing, and to build credibility. So head over to the member blog area, check it out.
There you go. All right. Well, before we bring in our first interview of the day, we have 2 different interviews with 3 total people.
I do want to add something, by the way, on the blog.
Add it.
I'm sure most of you are familiar with the BiggerPockets blog, and we do go to the BiggerPockets member blogs in order to find new writers to write on our main blog. So if you're ever wondering, hey, how do I become a writer for the BiggerPockets blog? Go ahead, create a member blog, and if you're doing great work and we notice you, we'll probably give you a shout.
There you go.
Yeah.
All right, so let's get to the show. So like Josh said earlier, today's a show. We're doing a couple different interviews with a total of 3 people. Our first interview today is with Sunny and SunMarie. This is a couple from the New York City area.
And, they are.
Kind of a cool story there. So we're going to jump in and talk a little bit about house hacking and all that.
Yeah,
fun
and
stuff.
it's funny because everybody says, "Oh, I can't invest. I live in New York City.
Yep.
It's impossible. This can't be done." And of course, these guys have gone and created real wealth through what seems like a pretty good deal.
Yeah,
pretty good deal. So
cool. Yeah, it's cool to hear how they got that deal and stuff. So listen up.
Yeah, it's really smart. All right, guys. So let's bring in Sunny and SunMarie. All right, Sunny and SunMarie, welcome to the show. It's good to have you here.
Hey, good to be here. Thanks for having us.
Yeah, thanks for having us. We're excited.
Yeah, this should be good. So I like having couples on the show because, I mean, real estate is generally not a single person thing. I mean, like most, if you're married, your spouse is probably involved. In fact, of the 200 some episodes we've had so far of the show, I would say majority of people are married and they've just come on alone. I'm sure their spouses later were like, why didn't you have me on? So it's a good thing.
It's a team effort.
It is a team effort. So that's what I'm excited to talk about. So why don't we just go back to the beginning, which I know was years and years and years ago. No, I'm just kidding. You guys are fairly new at this, but that's a good thing. How'd you get your first deal? I mean, maybe before that, why real estate? How did you even get the
let's
bug?
start there.
Yeah.
So really the bug came from you guys from Bigger Pockets listening to the podcast. When I was 18, I'm 26 now, but when I was 18 years old, I had my first goal to buy a house outright. You know, my dad had just finally bought his first house when I was 18 years old, and I saw his mortgage, and you know, he had a 30-year mortgage, and he was paying triple the price over those 30 years. And I was thinking, hey, I don't want to deal with that. I just want to buy my house outright. And I didn't want to, and I thought if I didn't have to pay that large mortgage expense, I'd just grow my savings that much quicker. But then I listened to podcasts. I love podcasts. And I was looking for one about how to buy your first house. And then I stumbled on Bigger Pockets, and I listened to all these investors, listened to you guys. And I was just like, no, that's not the way to do it. The way to do it is house hack. And, yeah, buy that first house. Get your tenants to pay for your mortgage, your taxes, your insurance. Live for free, and I was really excited by that. And yeah, just dove in and was instantly hooked by you guys. And you know, you guys are my mentors, really, because I didn't have any close friends or family. The Bigger Pockets community, the investors I listened to, all of you guys were my mentors in doing this. And yeah, we were finally able to buy our first 4-family property last year.
Wow! Awesome. All right, cool. That's awesome. Yes, I love when we inspire folks to do stuff like that. That's really cool.
Do you guys see Josh's head? It's growing bigger right now.
Oh,
yes. That whole conversation, it was just getting bigger. It will
never
and bigger.
Quite get as big as yours, Brandon, but you know, yeah, it's inflating a little bit. So, all right, that's awesome. I'm glad you found the podcast. I'm glad you got inspired by it. Lovely, lovely, lovely. So you go and you decide, we're going to house hack. We're going to buy a 4-family. We're not going to start with a single. We're not going to go to the duplex. We're going to just jump right in with a 4. SunMarie, why a 4?
Dun, dun, dun.
So, especially here in northern New Jersey, it just isn't economical to think about buying single families or duplexes and actually make the numbers work.
Just doesn't cash flow.
Yeah, it just doesn't cash flow. So we thought, well, why not look into something more than that, like a 3-family or 4-family? We didn't want to go over 4-family because then you start getting into the commercial real estate realm and the laws are a lot different. But we thought, hey, I think we could handle something like a 3 or a 4. Why not go for it? The numbers work a lot better in our favor.
Can you guys talk about that? The numbers then, like, you know, what was a typical duplex or triplex looking like, and what did you guys end up settling on with this 4-family?
Yeah, sure. I mean, for the reason it doesn't work is because of the high property taxes in North Jersey. You know, we're only 15 miles from New York City. You know, we can take a bus in 30 minutes. We're in the city. But yeah, the taxes are, you know, 10 grand, 11 grand. And it doesn't matter so much if you're going from a single family to a duplex or a tri to a quad. They're all around the same for the property taxes. But when you split that 10K in property taxes on a single family, that kills the deal. But 10K on a 4-family, you split that up. That's only $2,500 per unit. You can start making that profitable for yourself.
And the rents are relatively the same. If it's a 3-family single home or duplex, you know, you get the same amount of money pretty much than you would if you have a 3-bedroom quad or triplex.
That's awesome.
Okay.
So before we jump into the deal itself, I want to point out something. A lot of people tell me you can't invest in real estate when you're getting started. You can't do that if you live in New York. You can't do it if you live in San Francisco or if you live in LA. Like you just
Jersey.
you can't do it, right? You guys live 15 minutes from New York City. And you're able to do it. You're able to get started, and I think that's fantastic. So just to point that out there to all the people out there making excuses that saying I can't do it, yeah,
I can't do it.
Figure it out. So let's hear how you guys did it. Let's talk about that first. You found a 4-plex. How'd you find it?
Yeah, so we found it on the MLS, and we had been searching for a year and a half. You know, we had put in some offers here and there, done a lot of analyzing of deals, we were looking at the MLS every single day for that year and a half, you know, and feeling a little hopeless here and there. But then finally that deal popped up. It was an REO, real estate owned property. I think Wells Fargo owned it, and came on the market. It was a 12-bedroom, 4-bath quadplex. And when I saw that, I got an email from Redfin and I saw it pop up on my email inbox, and I was like, "Hey, SunMarie, I think we just found our house." And we called the listing agent. Actually, we weren't dealing with a realtor on our own. We got a tip that if you use a listing agent, they're a lot more likely to try to work with you to try to get that double commission. Yeah. So we used that. We didn't also want to drag around the realtor with us from house to house. We were searching for a year and a half. We didn't want to feel pressured to buy a no good deal. We wanted that good deal. So that's what we did, and we went to check out that house, and it took us like 4 months to close, but we closed on that one.
Yeah, there'd been several other deals that we were looking at, and we'd visited, put offers in, and it was just really competitive, and we ended up not being the chosen buyer. So we learned a lot through that process. I think we went through several of those, and so when we got to this one, we kind of knew, you know, what would be to our advantage. Working with a listing agent and going with an REO property was definitely to our advantage.
So talk about the competitiveness. You know, like this is a newbie show. What does that exactly mean to somebody? You know, are these properties just getting bid up like crazy? You know, is there anything that you can do to fight that, or you just have to kind of be patient?
So 2 weeks earlier, we actually put an offer on another 4-family property in the same town of Garfield, New Jersey, and we offered $25K over asking. And you went to the property. There was how many investors with you on the 3 days after it was listed?
It was like a crazy scramble. I think there were 4 other investors. They brought us all in at the same time. And these guys were professional investors, definitely not their first deal. And they wanted to snap it up because if the numbers work, there are lots of people who are looking for those opportunities. So it isn't exactly advantageous to a first-time home buyer who's trying to, get their feet wet.
Yeah, the realtor had told us that a full cash offer was made over our $25K, over the asking price. So
wow. So why do you think the new house you found, the 4-plex, what was different about the one you actually got then from the really competitive ones? Did you guys get in quicker or what?
So because it was an REO through Wells Fargo, they had a first-time home buyers program. So for the first 12 days, they were only accepting offers from owner occupants or like first-time home buyers.
Nice.
I love that. And that's just a great tip. I don't think we've ever talked about it here on the show, but there are a number of those programs. Yeah, well, like you said, Wells Fargo. I know FHA has a program like that where it's owner occupied only, which is another benefit of house hacking. You can get in there before all the savvy investors who are experienced and got cash. And I love that. So yeah, use that to your competitive advantage, and you guys crushed it on that. So that's cool.
Yeah.
So let's hear about the house itself.
So like I said before, 12-bedroom, 4-bath. There are 4 3-bedroom, 1-bath units. It's actually 2 duplexes on one lot of property, so it's 2 separate buildings. And
what'd you pay for it?
We paid $430,000 for it.
Okay, $430,000.
We put 10% down, so that's $43K. And we got conventional 30-year mortgage. We got a 3.99% interest rate, and no PMI actually through a smaller bank.
Really?
Yeah, actually, so I think they pay the PMI, but there's no borrower paid PMI. That's so awesome. It was a great rate at 3.99%, 30-year mortgage. We only had to put 10% down, and it was great.
And for those people who don't, I was going to say, for those people who don't know what PMI is, it's when you buy a property, usually less than 20% down, a bank's going to require you to pay this mortgage insurance, which is private mortgage insurance, PMI, and it's like a monthly charge. It could mean on a price, $400,000 property, that could have been $200 or $300 a month. The fact that you guys got none of it, I mean, that's awesome. It just shows shop around, talk to different lenders, see what you can find. But that definitely, that's definitely awesome.
That was a tip from a. That was a tip from a BiggerPockets member, actually. Like, we were looking at other banks, and everyone's like, even my credit union was like, no, you got to put 25% down for this 4-family. And so I posted on BiggerPockets. I'm like, hey, how am I going to get this financing? And this member, I should have remembered his name, but he was like, hey, check out Trustco Bank. And we did that. It worked out great.
Awesome. I love that. All right. So what's your total payment on the property, taxes, insurance, and your mortgage?
Taxes, insurance, mortgage is around $3,400 a month.
Okay. And then what are you guys renting those units out for?
So unit 3 and 4 are renting for $1,700 each. And then we're living in unit 1. So unit 2, actually, her family moved in, and we're giving them subsidized rent at $1,000 a month. Okay. But market rent would probably be close to $1,500. So in total, we're renting $4,400 a month while we live there.
That's awesome.
So we're cash flowing at about $1,000 a month.
If you don't include like maintenance costs and vacancy considerations, we're cash flowing at about $1,000 a month.
Sure, and that's while you're living there.
While we live there for free in one of the units. If we were to move out, we'd easily get $1,500 for one of those units, so that'd be $2,500. If we got market rent for the unit that your parents are living in, we'd get another $500. So we're easily looking at $3,000 a month in positive cash flow.
That's amazing. Yeah, even if you have the tax,
sure.
if you have
repairs
and stuff,
repairs,
you're still going to be cash flowing stupid. I mean, that's
no
amazing.
More than $1,000 a month for that. So we'd be cash flowing $2,000 a month.
Yeah, that's amazing. And that's one of the benefits of house hacking is that when you move out, a lot of people don't know this, but when you move out, you don't have to pay the loan back. Like you get to keep that 30-year fixed loan for as long as you want it. And so it just kind of sets you up. Like not only is it this is why I just get so excited about house hacking, because it's like training wheels. You get to learn how to be a landlord. You get low down payment. You get the first time, the home buyer, getting in there, before the investors do. And it's just like benefit after benefit after benefit after benefit. So what about bad stuff? I mean, what bad happened in the situation, if anything? What are the disadvantages of what you guys did?
It was actually a vacant property when we purchased it from the bank. So there was quite a bit of holding costs for the, I guess we did a lot of repairs ourselves, and it took us about 3 months to finally get it ready to rent it out. So there was quite a bit of holding costs on our end for that. And if I were to probably do it again, I'd ask for more help, maybe hire some contractors to help us out with it. But we kind of just got our hands dirty and really put our sweat equity into it. And yeah.
Yeah, so the holding costs were a little bit painful in the beginning, but it certainly was an amazing learning experience. We have a much better understanding now of what goes into certain repairs, what to look for on our next deal. What are big deals, what are things that are quick paint fix, something simple.
Yeah.
So it's a good learning experience, worth it, but definitely financially in the beginning, there were a few months there that were pretty stressful.
Yeah.
So all right, so you guys went, you put in the work, you put in the time, you put in the energy, but obviously there was a cost there, right? So you spent $430,000. How much did you guys put in repairs?
We put in $20K of like material costs. So
okay,
that's just materials.
So $20K materials. If you had hired a crew, you're probably talking another, 10, 20, $30K?
Probably $30K, I'd say.
Okay, so you're $50K in, you're at $480 then, all in. Well, not $480, but you're in an extra $50, right? So if for any newbie listening, this is great. The numbers are great, but if you actually start to amortize that $50,000 over the next 30 years, that cash flow that Sunny and SunMarie are talking about shrinks dramatically. So it's really important that anybody who's new at this, keep that in consideration. Your cost to repair, your vacancy rates, your cost to manage. I'm assuming you guys are managing yourself, but at some point you may have somebody else manage. So, it's a consideration you want to put in, and everything else. You definitely want to take those numbers up front. And look, if those things don't come to fruition, it's great. It's more money in your pocket. But if you're buying a deal, you definitely want to make sure you account for that stuff.
We were able to actually refinance about 3 months ago, I think like 10 months after we closed on the property, and we pulled out $67,000 in cash from the bank.
That's amazing.
Our property appraised for $120,000 over what we bought it for. It appraised for $550,000. We pulled out $67K, left the rest of equity in the property. We only put 10% down, and now there's about 20% equity in the property. And we pulled out every dollar we put in, $67K. So that was $42 for closing and about $20K for materials. So
awesome.
Every dollar we got that back pretty much.
That's like the perfect house hacking story. I mean, everything you guys have done, that's what we preach a lot. It's not the only way, but it is such a good way to get started. So what has changed in your life since this? What has this done in your life, done for you guys, for your future, stuff like that?
Yeah, so before we bought the property, we had a baby, and SunMarie was on maternity leave while we were searching for these houses. And so we were making $4,400 a month in gross rent. You know, we were talking about, are you going back to work? Are you going to stay home? We really wanted to be able to stay home, have SunMarie raise our child, you know, be there for him while I'm at work and not put him in daycare. So this just made it such a clear, easy decision. You know, $4,400 a month in rent, that's $52,000 a year. Dollar for dollar, that replaced her income. You know, the gross rental income replaced her salary. And you got to live somewhere, so, you know, you're paying for those costs anyway. So it was just like an easy decision, you know, stay home, be home with the kid. We have the financial freedom to do that.
I love that. I love that. And that's why we do real estate, right? I mean, yeah, it's exciting to say, hey, I get $4,400 a month in cash flow or whatever, you know, you're saying. But the real benefit is, hey, I get to quit my job, or hey, I get to travel more. I get to raise my kid. I get to go on this vacation. I mean, whatever it is people want to do, that's why we do real estate. And you guys are a perfect example of that. Very cool. Well, cool.
That's awesome.
Let's kind of, I have one more question before we shift on to the famous four. And that is, like, why do you think most newbies like never get to the point where even you guys are, or at least a lot of newbies? I don't know if you can say most, but you know, why do you think a lot never buy that first property? They never actually jump.
You know, I think it's like you don't put in the effort. You know, we were putting the effort. We were listening to audiobooks. We were listening to the podcast like every week. We were searching for deals every day. Well, yeah, we were searching for deals every day, analyzing once a week. You know, we were putting in that effort. And when that deal finally popped up, we saw it. We knew it was a deal. We jumped on it. We were prepared.
Yeah, we were committed to doing this. Like, we knew this is what we wanted.
Yeah, we weren't watching TV at home. You know, we wanted to make this work. We wanted to make it happen, and we did.
Another thing, too, when I was growing up, I helped my dad fully restore a house. That was a 1890s Victorian. So I had a lot of sense of what goes into certain kind of projects, you know, whether this is a crumbling wall you have to worry about, or if it's a simple fix. So that helped too in our search when we went into properties. We weren't totally clueless about, you know, what needed to get done. You know, we had an idea, oh, this actually, yeah, maybe it's a good deal, but it requires $150K just to bring it up to standard. Or no, this is a simple paint and patch and move on type of project. Yeah. So that helped us.
It's great, guys. I can't think of the word. You guys have done a great job.
You're a proud daddy. You're a proud daddy.
I'm so proud of you. Oh, yeah. No, you guys have done great, and you know, congrats on all those success. With that, why don't we get to the famous four, and then we'll let you guys out of here.
All right.
Out of our grasp.
All right, let's get to the famous four.
Something wrong with your voice, Brent?
It is. We have sound effects now, but you know. All right, these are the same four questions we ask every guest every week, so I'm sure you guys have heard them before. But let's see what you got to say. And you guys can have the same answer or different ones. It's okay. Number one, what is your favorite real estate related book?
I'm just going to say the ABCs of Real Estate Investing. That was the first real estate book I really listened to, and it made the most impact because it was the first.
Cool.
And I don't read real estate books, so.
Well, she does. She listens with me.
I listen to your podcast. That's where I get most of my knowledge.
That counts.
Right. Awesome. And yet you wanted to come on the show, so, you know, I don't know, something's wrong with you, obviously. But what about favorite business books?
So I don't know. I feel like every time I read a business book, I'm just re-inspired. I'm like, oh, this is the best book. And 2 weeks ago, I finished Outwitting the Devil by Napoleon Hill. And I really loved that book. It was amazing, and just kind of talks about fears. And in the book, the premise is Napoleon Hill is interviewing the devil. He somehow managed to capture the devil and force an interview upon him, and he's asking him, you know, how he uses all these devilish tricks to enslave humanity and never get people to succeed. And kind of, it's really an intriguing book, really well done, and got so much inspiration from it.
Cool. SunMarie.
Read that.
Nothing. She doesn't read those either.
It's okay.
SunMarie.
Too busy with my son.
Okay, next question. SunMarie, what do you do for fun?
What do I do for fun? I am an artist, so I love painting whenever I get the chance. And lately I've been getting into woodworking. So that's what I do for fun.
See, she woodworks and paints. She doesn't need to read.
That's right.
SunMarie, what do you do for fun?
Oh, myself, I'm a very active guy. I love Ultimate Frisbee. Still very active.
I love that game. I play every week.
Nerd.
Awesome. Yeah, I'm in a winter league.
Oh, you and I got to play. You and I got to play some Ultimate Frisbee sometime.
Definitely down.
Hey, didn't we have a disc golf?
We had a disc golf champion on the show back a few months ago.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
I love disc golf too, but I just play with the ultimate disc. I don't have the whole set.
Yeah, I'm the ultimate frisbee guy. Anyway, cool. What else?
Yeah, I love volleyball. I love running. We've been going on micro adventures recently. Well, not with SunMarie, but SunMarie lets me go out with a bunch of guys in the middle of the work week, and we go camping, and then next morning we just return to work, all of us. So that's been pretty sweet.
That's kind of cool.
Good way.
Micro adventures.
Yeah.
Good stuff.
Adventures.
I like it.
A lot of fun.
I like it. Very cool. All right. Well, last question from me. What do you guys believe sets apart successful real estate investors from those who give up, fail, or never get started?
Looking past your fears and just really jumping in and trusting that things are going to, work out well and you can handle what you're getting yourself into.
Yeah, I mean, you analyze enough of those deals, you know what's going to work. Trust those numbers, but you got to practice with those numbers to understand whether it's going to work or not. Once you do, you understand clearly, okay, this is going to work. Let's do this.
Awesome.
Man,
Awesome. Hey, Brandon.
I preach that on the webinar every
Brandon?
single week. Yeah.
Where can people practice those numbers?
Well, if they want to practice the numbers, they can do so on the BiggerPockets rental property calculator, BRRRR calculator, or flipping calculator, or wholesaling calculator at biggerpockets.com/analysis.
Nice.
You like
Nice.
That? You like that?
Yes. Well played. All right, guys. Well, listen, congrats on everything. Like I said before, before we let you go, where can people reach out and find you, connect with you?
Yeah, I mean, I'm all over the BiggerPockets forums. I've been a lot more active recently now that I have some knowledge. And also, I have a blog, famvestor.com. We
Nice.
talk about our journey and kind of developing passive income streams and just kind of investing in the family and, what we're doing. It's kind of interesting.
Cool. All right, guys. Thank you. Thank you so much for coming on. Thank you for sharing your story. Lots of luck to you going forward. And obviously, we'll look forward to seeing you around BiggerPockets. Congratulations.
Thanks
Thank
for having
you.
us.
All right,
Great
thank you.
being here. See you guys.
All right, guys, that was Sunny and SunMarie. Big thanks to them for coming on the show, sharing their story, telling us all about that first deal. That's awesome, man. I mean, again, in a market where most people are like, oh, this is impossible, I can't get it done.
Yep.
They went out, figured it out, and made it happen. And now they're making some good money.
Yeah, and I think it's just all about changing that paradigm in your head of like, it can't be done, to how do I make it work? How do people make this work in this market? And so, yeah, if you guys live in San Francisco, you live in LA, Seattle, Denver, whatever, where you're saying it can't be done, it can be done. You just got to figure out how to make that happen.
Yeah, there's two different kinds of people in this world, right? There's the people who are like, the problem is the complaints and all this other nonsense. Yeah. And those people are like, I'm going to find a way to make this happen. Yeah. And you got to be that. If you want to succeed in the real estate investing game, you got to figure it out. So go ahead.
True. Well, I was gonna say so true. There's a quote, one of my favorite quotes by Jim Rohn. He said something like, I'm gonna butcher this, but he basically said, if you really want something, you'll find a way. If not, you'll find an excuse. That's what everyone does, right? It's like, I can't do it because of ABC. So anyway, all right, well, let's go on to interview number 2. You want to introduce Sam?
Yeah, Sam. Yeah, you're just not introducing him because you don't know how to say his last name.
That might be true.
I don't either, but it's Sam Valme, I believe. Unfortunately, we really should ask Sam how to actually pronounce his last name. But Sam and his wife were headed towards a life trapped by massive debt, but instead they discovered BiggerPockets and the power of real estate investing and used real estate to get them one step closer to financial freedom, which I'm sure rings true for lots of you guys that are listening. Specifically, actually, Sam's got a great story of using his property as an Airbnb vacation rental, and his story actually inspired Brandon to finally get his own vacation rental started. And I'm sure he won't shut up about that over the next couple of weeks or months or years.
I'll be telling that story. Yeah, I finally got my first Airbnb going. I just went to Costco and bought a bunch of furniture. I'm going to buy a lot of used stuff, but I needed a few things that were new, like a nice couch. So got that. Yeah. So
yeah. Anyway, so it's excited to hear about this, and Brandon, we definitely want to hear how this goes for you. So let's bring in Sam. Sam, welcome to the show, man. It's good to have you here.
Thank you so much. It's an absolute pleasure. We got another day, so let's maximize, right?
There you
exactly.
go. There you go. Exactly. All right. So let's get into your story a little bit. Yeah. What's your story? I mean, before real estate, like, who are you? Where do you live? What do you do? And how'd you discover this whole thing called real estate? What? Yeah. What's your address? What's your zodiac sign? All that.
So I was abandoned as a child to start. And after that, I found a house. And just
laugh at that.
Yeah. That was it. Actually, no, I wasn't actually abandoned. But it's a funny story because I'm 25. I just turned 25 Christmas Eve a couple days ago.
Happy birthday.
Thank you. But that marks around 7 years I've actually been in real estate. I just didn't know it. When I was 18 years old back in 2010, my mom gave me an ultimatum, and she said, hey, either you can go. Well, she had just recently gotten married, and they was to move out with her new husband. And she said, either you can go away to college, and we're going to sell the house, or you can pay the mortgage. And I said, okay.
Like
I worked
mom.
mom's great. That's how more people should raise their kids, right?
Wow.
So it was good because she, gave us a fair question and said, if you want to be a man and take care of the house, then a mortgage is part of the house and everything that comes with it. So I said, give me a week. And I ended up getting my two friends, Gary and Nate, and they were my first roommate/tenants. And we were able to take on the entire mortgage. Fast forward 6 years, I had 11 total roommates, not including my wife, who also lived with me. We lived in the basement. I rented out the upstairs to the house for around $17.50 a month. And we did that for the longest time until this past year.
Okay, so I just want to clarify what was it, Gary? And I'm trying to keep up with everybody here, but we're at home. We're 18. Mom says go to college or pay the mortgage.
Yes.
Did mom bounce? Did mom go and move somewhere else? And
Mom moved down the street.
So mom moved down the street.
Mom had another house, yes, and she said, "Hey, you have the option if you want." Because I was at that age. I was graduating from high school, so you were at the age where you typically were applying to colleges. Little did she know, I never did, because I knew I was going to go to community college. Because also partly because I was too lazy to apply for college, but that kind of worked out. So, yeah.
So she gave you the house, provided you could pay the note on it.
That's correct.
Wow. Good on mom. All right. So you got a bunch of roommates, and over the years you found people to help you pay for it. Great. Now, that's not what the story is, though, right? That's the prelude to the story. Right. Okay. So This led to you becoming a real estate investor.
Right. So the real estate investment portion that actually happened last June started off. I was on a plane. I travel a lot. I'm a software consultant by trade, and I travel a lot for work. And I found this book called The Ultimate Beginner's Guide to Real Estate on iTunes.
Okay.
And from there, I didn't read it for about 3 months until, give or take the November, October timeframe. And that's when I really I found BiggerPockets. I became a member from there. I started joining the Capital RIA. I started joining our local RIA group. I began to read books like, of course, The Rich Dad, Poor Dad, The E-Myth, all those great books. And I really started to understand that, I have this house that I've been living in for the longest time, and I'm actually house hacking. I didn't know there was a word for it besides just renting out your room. Thought that was pretty cool. So I said, okay, so understanding more about real estate, I realized that debt pay down that you get when you are an investor is now going really to my parents, who are taking advantage of that right now. So I began to think, we have this great place that we live in. Me and my wife kind of wanted to stay for a little while. We had other aspirations. So we did the next logical thing to becoming an investor. We went out and got our real estate licenses because that was a good next step. From there, we decided that we were going to buy the house from my parents. So when we bought the house, it was a lot of work that needed to get done to us. So we essentially brokered a deal where we bought the house for a little bit less than what it was worth, but they actually gave us a gift in equity to pay for some of the repairs to the house and also to buy a lot of the furniture too. What we ended up doing is over the course of about 3 months, we purchased the house in, give or take, June. We did a full renovation on the house, and I mean full renovation. I mean top, bottom. We did floors. Me and my wife and friends, we painted the entire house inside and out. From there, we actually decided that we were going to move upstairs, but we still wanted to experience, getting that paycheck every month, right? But we understood that by now living in the basement, we were going to lose a lot of that income because we didn't have 3 bedrooms we could rent upstairs. It's a 5-bedroom house total. So what we did was we actually turned the basement into an Airbnb. So what that allowed us to do was we're typically a basement with no kitchen around where we live would rent out for around $1,000 a month. This past month and the month before, we've been able to clear around $2,200 a month for our basement.
Wow.
Nice.
Yeah. So we purchased for $255 back in June. And what we're actually looking to do now is sell the house this year for around $360. So looking to make it turned out, we thought it was going to be a long-term investment. We looked at the numbers and some other personal goals, and we realized, being so young, we can pay off a lot of debt, be able to essentially be virtually debt-free in a matter of a year. So our first investment really turned into a buy and hold / flip.
Wow.
That's awesome.
That was a great story.
Yeah.
Thank you. Have a nice day. See you later.
That's why I came. Okay.
All right, that was good.
Right.
All right, so a lot of our questions kind of go by the wayside. How'd you find the deal? Well, that was an easy one. Yeah. How did you finance it? Is going to be an interesting one. So how did that work?
Yeah, because keep in mind, I mean, me and my wife, we made a decent salary, but living in Northern Virginia, the costs of homes here are, extremely high, especially for someone in the early 20s. So financing, we did a 5% down FHA loan, which we put down, our 5% for. But really, to really get the value and to do this project of the Airbnb, the real portion of it was that not home equity line of credit, the gift of equity that we got from my parents. That gave us the funds to do the necessary repairs. So for some of the listeners, an FHA loan has certain requirements to actually get the loan than other conventional loans do. For instance, no chip paint on the exterior of the house. We had to ensure that the roof was going to last for X number of years. So we actually had to do a lot of repairs prior to even beginning the purchase process. Before we began the purchase process, we had to do a lot of repairs before we could even get approved for the loan. So that was an entire process by itself.
Yeah, that makes sense. So just to throw this idea out there to people as well, if you guys are looking at a property and you want a FHA, you want a house hack, or you want to buy it and do Airbnb, and the property is not in good enough condition, FHA does have a program out there called the 203K loan. It allows you to wrap the repairs into it. So that is an option just in case you guys are like, oh, well, I don't have, the seller's not going to gift me the repair, so I quit, right? There's always a way to figure this out. So that's just one technique just to throw out there. But how much do you think total you guys spend on repairs in that process, like fixing it up, getting it ready to buy?
$40,000, including the furniture for the basement.
Okay.
Wow.
Okay. So $40,000
So $40K.
total.
And that was gifted to you from...
No.
Okay,
25 was gifted to us.
Okay.
We did our actual, we did our down payment and another $15,000 out of pocket.
Okay. Got it.
And then let's talk about, I want to talk about the Airbnb thing. I mean, like, why did you did that because you can make more rent from it, I'm assuming, right? That you can get more money.
Absolutely. So at first we were just actually, when we first started the project and thinking about buying the house, we were going to stay in the basement. Yep. We figured we'd continue to live downstairs. We just wouldn't have a kitchen still. I'd never experienced a dishwasher growing up, so I never knew what it could really give you. So, my wife was the one lobbying really like, all right, if we're going to buy this house, I'd like to live by the front door. It's kind of embarrassing telling our friends to come around back and the pizza people, every single time. Which the latter, she eventually figured out she was lactose, so the pizza person was no longer an issue. So I was like, really? It's still an issue? So, but in all seriousness, I agree with her, right? We worked really hard. We both did really well in our careers. We were still kind of coming up, but that's why we chose to do the Airbnb, because now what we can do is, if you break it down on a per night basis, you can charge significantly more than you can for over a long term for a month. Also, keep in mind too that every single night, or potentially every single night or every other night, your unit's turning over. So the repairs, for instance, when we came upstairs and this is no shot at the guys that had living here. I love y'all to death, by the way. When we came upstairs to that renovation of the upstairs, oh my gosh, you could tell for 7 years it had been a rental. I mean, these guys were hard on it. We had to replace all the carpet. Well, we had to replace the carpet in the basement, but also refinish the floors downstairs. Like I said, paint the entire thing multiple times, do a lot of repairs to the walls. So with the Airbnb, you don't have that. Every single day or multiple times a week, potentially, you're turning your unit over. It's getting cleaned. It's getting updated. You're making sure that, because you get that real-time feedback, right? If something is not clean, if something is not taken care of, the tenants will leave reviews, and then you get less income. So it's not only the initial, yes, you get a lot of money up front, but also long-term too. There's less wear and tear on the space.
Yeah.
Yeah, I love that.
How many days a month do you think you're keeping it filled?
We right now are at about a 95% occupancy rate, and that's going into January. And we have bookings out to July.
Now, do you live in an area that's just super touristy, or who's renting your place?
Yeah, that's the question.
I live about 45 minutes outside of Washington, D.C. And what's around here? We have Dulles Airport 30 minutes north, Quantico Marine Base almost an hour south. What's around us? And honestly, when we thought about this idea, we talking about the friends. They were saying, there is nothing in Manassas besides Manassas battlefield. That's where we live, by the way, Manassas, Virginia. There's nothing out there. Why would anybody want to rent an Airbnb? You don't have a tourist attraction. You don't have any events that go out there. But looking back on it, I like to say I had this all figured out. I knew it was going to work, but I really didn't. I was just kind of like, if it doesn't work out, we'll have a furnished rental. We can just rent it out for additional $100 a month. Hey, it'll be fine. But we did it, and we had, at first it was a slow trickle. We had this huge response. So what we realized was folks will come into this area, just Northern Virginia in general, for work very often, traveling to and from the airport, even though it's farther away, because we keep our prices competitive. And then once you go through your initial introductory phase, and how you do pricing in Airbnb is a completely different story we can go into. But once you do the introductory phase where you bring your prices low to get the reviews, the people sell it for you. So now you don't have to worry about really, marketing your product. People coming through and saying, this is so modern, this is so up to date, this is so beautiful. It really allows, other folks to see, like, even in a larger radius now we have folks that are going to Quantico, almost an hour away, asking about our place. We have folks that are going to DC, where there are plenty of Airbnbs in DC, but because we offer a better product, at least we like to think so, they're willing to stay out further because we are a little bit lower price range too. So it's really being competitive with the pricing, but it's also recognizing, having a bit of faith, but also recognizes the things that other folks might not see, like Virginia wine country. On the other side of us, where DC there are 142 some odd wineries in the area. We get a lot of folks. We have bookings out to July, like I mentioned earlier, just for folks coming to wedding venues, going to tour different wineries and things of that nature. So there may be more in your area than you actually even know, because you don't necessarily visit every single thing every single day.
I love it. Yeah, I mean that's a great point. If you're thinking about doing an Airbnb, you want to figure that out, right? Because no longer are you renting a house to somebody who wants to live there. You're now kind of like an innkeeper, right? So you need to know what's around, and you got, I think you got a bit lucky plus a bit of, smarts there. I want to hear this pricing thing. I know we've talked about it before, but for those people who haven't heard it, you had mentioned keep prices low when you're new on Airbnb, get the reviews, get good reviews, obviously, and then you boost the prices. Is that kind of the plan there?
Yeah. So you keep the prices low to start off with. So for the first 2 months, we had what we let folks know in the listing instead of the introductory pricing, so they were getting a deal, number one. But we did that almost to about 75% of what we would actually list for about a month. And then what happens is that you do that for a 1 month, but keep in mind those prices, they can book anywhere within that year, however far out you let people book for. So depending on how popular it is, you could be, a little too active in the first month, and the second, third month have some lower numbers. But since I looked at this back in November, but we started in August. So August, September, October, November, we had hosted 142 guests in our space. So with that comes 142 different reviews. And also it depends on also how you list, because you don't necessarily have to list your entire space that you have. We have a private entrance, but what we also did was we put electronic locks on each door. So now we have 2 different units that we can rent individually, as well as the entire space too. So that allows us to get even more feet in the door to actually have even more reviews.
Interesting.
Nice.
Interesting.
So are you saying like each bedroom has an electronic lock on it?
Each bedroom essentially becomes its own unit.
So you might do like, hey, common area, the kitchen, the living room and all that is common. And then you'll get your own private bedroom. And then you're not just renting out the house, you're renting each bedroom out.
Exactly. And what you do is it's almost one of those things where if you buy more, it's cheaper. So per night, it's actually more expensive to rent our space by those individual rooms if you added them together. So we actually incentivize folks to rent the entire space, because on the other side of that story is turnover now. With a typical investment, if you're doing a long term, you put the tenant in place and they'll call you if there's any issues. But here, every single time someone turns over, you have to have someone there to actually, turn the space, which can become its own job, which it is a job. It's called a cleaning services, which if you ever go to a hotel and you see the maid or a cleaning person, thank them, because their job is hard. Yeah. And people don't recognize that, service in the service industry, but you have to take that role on. And as far as taking it on, because we did so well with the Airbnb, my wife actually, we made the decision to allow her to actually take that on full time, because we were making that wide enough spread on her paycheck. So that was one definite big benefit from doing this model.
Can we talk about the turnover? So, what does it actually cost you per turnover? You're not doing it, so you've got a cleaning service. Are they charging you monthly? Are they charging you for each time it gets turned over? How does that work, and what does that actually look like financially?
Without being super misogynistic, I do not have a cleaning service. My wife actually does it.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So what was nice about it was because we were getting such that widespread, she was able to leave her job.
Nice.
She was able to take it on full time, and which is at the end of the day the goal of investing, right? Is to be able to find another passive source of income to be able to allow you to leave that hour-and-a-half commute up and down 66 where we live. So my costs are very, very low, or our costs, I should say, are very, very low. On a supply basis, we do provide water, we provide snacks, we provide breakfast biscuits as well. It's about $100 a month, so it's not too expensive. Now, we did run the numbers if we had to have a cleaning service turn this over for us, and we were looking between $650 and $850 a month with some of the contract we could have gotten. So, there are folks out there that will do it. We did interview a lot of different companies as well.
Now on Airbnb, the tenants that are staying there, they pay a little extra. There's a cleaning fee, right? I mean, I pay it every time I stay at Airbnb, right?
Not necessarily. So It all depends on the host. Yeah.
Okay.
So the host.
I didn't know that was optional either.
Yeah, it has complete control. I can charge a cleaning fee. I can also charge a security deposit. Depending on where you live as well, you might also see certain taxes. For a hotel tax or a city occupancy tax, things of that nature, like in Texas and New York, they have those things. Also in DC, the city, they also charge additional taxes as well. But we try to make it as simple as possible because when you're on Airbnb, access is the key, which is why we rent our place in so many different methods. Because depending on how you want to stay, if you just want a room, okay, you can do that with us. If you want the entire space in your privacy, you can do that with us as well. And by the way, we don't see our tenants. It's a completely separate floor. We have a lock on the door. We have cameras all throughout the exterior of our house as well.
Not like in the bathroom.
Not in the bathroom or in the bed. We flirted with the idea of the shower, but after potential lawsuits, we didn't want to. Actually, we just didn't want to front the money for the lawyer. To be honest, that was.
Do you guys actually have any in, or are they all outside the property?
All outside. No, we don't have anything, and we let folks know too, and they've come in handy. We had an arrest.
Really?
Had nothing to do with the Airbnb, but it was a drunk person on our back porch. But because we had the cameras, we were able to actually see them. We were so scared that it was one of our Airbnb tenants because we had folks coming. But having that extra layer of security has come in handy. So, yeah.
And you're using those electronic locks, like when somebody says they want to rent it, you just give them the code, and then you change the code when they're done.
Exactly.
Yeah. What kind of lock? Do you know offhand what the brand or what the kind of lock is? If not, it's okay. But
I don't know.
It's okay.
For some reason I'm going to say Phillips. That's not it.
If you think of it, go ahead and let me know, and we'll put it in the show notes at biggerpockets.com/show210. So
it's Schlag.
Schlag. Okay.
Specifically, it's this. I don't know why it hit me.
Oh, Schlag. There you go.
I have that exact lock on my office door right now. Combination 274. No. Anyway, yeah, that's So you just give them the combination, you give them the code, and they go. Do you have to change the code often? Do you mean you change it monthly or something like that, just to make sure it?
Yeah, we have a schedule. We don't publicize the schedule, but yeah, we have a schedule. We not only change the interior locks, we also change. We have a lockbox outside. We change that frequently as well. And when we do, what's nice about Airbnb is you have your house manual. So what you do, which essentially is update your house manual, and then from there, every guest that's coming to your house will be able to all see the same document. So you just change it once, and then it's good to go.
Perfect.
Cool.
Perfect.
Awesome. Any bad stuff beyond the drunk guy on the porch, or has this been going swimmingly for you guys?
We estimate out of every 100 people, you're bound to get one not so good, potentially person or couple. We did have to remove one person. They were smoking illicit. I can't even say explicit anymore because it's like super legal in almost every other state. They're smoking weed in the house. Yeah, smoking weed in the house. Which we say no smoking on the property. And, frankly, me and my wife don't partake, but it's not even a matter of our personal preference. It's a matter of the guests because we have to now wipe down the entire house. It's just not.
How did you figure that out, by the way?
Two things. Talk about the cameras. Number one, we walked in the house at 2 a.m. after being out, on some other business, and the house reeked. So that was number one. But we had two separate tenants in at the same time. So now the question is, how do we know who it is? But the cameras. We're able to actually open up the camera on our app, and we were able to see which guests were the ones smoking. So we messaged their reservation, let them know, hey, it's not enough to cancel your reservation, but just don't do this again. Next morning, woke up 7 o'clock in the morning. We're smelling it again. Like, no way. Open up the cameras. We're seeing them live on our phones, continuing to smoke out right outside the front door, wrapped, by the way, in one of our blankets that we provide too. So we're like, you know what? 2 strikes, that's pretty much what we do. So that was the only time we actually had to ask some folks to leave. Other than that, that was about it.
How did that go down? Like you've got a guest who's staying with you, who's just paid you, who's, hey, I could do what I want, right? How do you actually escort them off the premises? How does that whole thing go down?
Yes. So this is
not an eviction. You don't have the sheriff with you.
Right. You don't. So this is kind of one of those things. So how do you handle that situation?
Right.
We talk about it, but unless you're there, it's completely writing down a policy on a piece of paper on a Google Doc is completely different than having to see someone face to face. And make that kind of call. So literally what I did was I walked downstairs. I knew which room they were in because, we could just match them up from the camera, knocked on the door, and, they asked if they can give me a minute. I sat in our living area, and I just waited for them to come out. I let them know, hey, I warned you on the app. We got you on camera twice smoking. We also have screenshots of it too. We like to ask you leave, and we won't report it to Airbnb. If you don't, we'll have to call the authorities, and we'll have to report your account. You won't be able to use the service anymore. And the difference is that when you have folks leveraging something like Airbnb, it's based on a community, right? We review them, they review us. If you want to continue to use the service simply and not, make it difficult, you want to be as honest as possible. So in their case, he said, I don't know if he was really being honest, but he said, oh my gosh, I didn't see the first message. We didn't even know. Oh, but you also didn't see my house rules that clearly said no smoking on the premises. We'll let that slide. But he, him and his girlfriend, they said, definitely not a problem. We'll leave. And they did. About 30 minutes later, they left, and they, of course, tried to cancel their reservation, so we couldn't leave a review. But that's pretty much how it went down. I approached them face to face, told them what the repercussions were going to be, and I watched them walk out to make sure that they didn't take anything or damage anything outside of that.
Oh, so you waited in the living room for them to get their stuff and get out?
Yeah. Some people may not be as bold, but
yeah.
I thought I could take them, so I was like, I'll just wait here.
All right.
There you go.
Nice.
That's cool. So what about going forward? What's your real estate plans going forward in life?
Yeah. So first and foremost, that was kind of the cool story. We're going to make a decent spread off selling it during this year. But I have to say, BiggerPockets, and this is not, I'm not trying to hype you guys up, even though I kind of am. BiggerPockets actually saved me and my wife's lives in a sense. And I want to, before that seems kind of a bold statement, but I want to explain why. Because right before, when I mentioned before, I found that book, The Ultimate Beginner Guides to Investing, back in last summer essentially, and I didn't look at it for that period of time. And the reason why is because we were actually about to purchase a townhouse up the next town over for almost $500,000 because we qualified for it because we had done so well in our careers, we had the income for it, and we were really about to do it. So I thought we're not gonna have the money to invest, not worry about it. I have a 401k. It's fine. Me and my wife, we both have money saved up. We're just fine. But if we had done that today, we would probably be over $600,000, worth of debt, and we would have paid off some of that, of course, paying off the mortgage. But we would have no leverage in our real estate at all. So with this experience in this year, we realized that we were able to make a purchase, and now instead of being further in the hole, wipe out almost all of our debt completely, right? And for having a 10-year student loan payment that was supposed to take you 10 plus years to pay off or whatever it is, to be able to take all that out in a matter of 2 or 3 is pretty impressive. So we've seen the power of real estate. We're believers now. So what we're going to do is we're going to take some of the capital that we're going to get from the sale, and we're actually going to move to a place probably down south that's a bit more affordable, most likely in the Georgia area around Atlanta. My dad lives down there. He's also investing, and that's kind of like the back story. My dad and my stepdad were also investors too. And I remember as early as being 7 or 8, my dad taking me to triplexes. I didn't know what they were doing. He was just fixing like a toilet or something. But he has like 21 properties in between Jersey and around that area as well. So learning really how the veterans do it, in person. In Atlanta, me and my wife want to be able to at least purchase one by the end of 2017 in that area. And the goal is one a year and snowball it. Everyone has different goals when it comes to real estate and financial freedom. Some folks want to build a large company. Other folks just want to have some extra money. We've really thought about it. And, if you've ever read the book, The One Thing, there's a story about the fisherman and the businessman where, everyone's heard it. Long story short, the businessman sees the fisherman who seems to be relaxing all day and fishing and says, hey, I've just had one of your fish from the market. They taste so good. Why don't you come and sell this fish in the ocean? You can build up a huge company, and one day maybe you can sell that company and retire. And the fisherman says, well, what am I going to do to retire? He says, well, whatever you want. And he says, well, I want to fish.
Yep. Yeah.
We thought about that, and that's what we want to do. We want to fish. We want to figure out what our fish is, or what our why is. Yeah. So we want to be able to afford that. And down in Atlanta, we're going to have the money. We're going to be financially free, and we're going to be able to purchase more and more investment properties to realize that dream.
Awesome.
I love it.
Well, that's cool. Great.
Well, let's start to wrap this thing up and head over to, I love your story. I feel like we could talk about this stuff forever. And especially, you've inspired me in a large way. I have a property right now that it's about a week from being finished. It's almost done. It's a beautiful little house I bought. I paid cash for it at an auction. Anyway, and I've been trying to figure out what to do with this. Do I want to sell it, rent it? I think I'm going to do Airbnb. I think I'm going to try it out. You kind of inspired me here. So
absolutely.
I'll let you guys know, you and the rest of the listeners know how that goes. But
I really think you need to Airbnb those Kurt Cobain houses.
I know.
People would love to go and stay in a Kurt Cobain house and say oh my God.
When it goes vacant, I will.
Check it out.
I will. When that one goes vacant again, I'll probably do it. But anyway, all right, let's shift gears here and head over to the famous four. All right, here we go. Let's jump into these things. These are the 4 questions we ask every guest every week. Number 1, what is your favorite real estate related book?
I make that super easy because I sit with it on my desk.
There you go.
Millionaire Real Estate Investor. That's number 1. Also, I have to say, I did a little bit of editing for this other book when it comes to real estate investing. It's called and you may know the name, Brandon. I think it's called something to do with the book on managing rental. What was it again?
The book on managing rental properties.
The book on that happens to be one of the best ones ever written. Yes, that's it. Yeah. That's another favorite of mine. I had the opportunity, and I'm not sure you remember, Brandon, to actually listen to the pre-done version of that, and I provided some feedback. So that was another great one.
That's really right. I didn't know that was you, but that's awesome. Thank you.
Yeah. I've been I told you, we've been dating for like a year.
Yeah, it's been a while. That's awesome.
Total stalker.
Yeah.
Well, cool. Nice. Very, very, very cool. All right.
That's great. What about favorite business book?
Favorite business book? Next one. I like the
also on your desk.
Also on my desk. You watch them every day, so you remember. If you don't read this book, and it can't see with glare, it's the E-Myth.
What is the book?
The E-Myth by Michael Gerber. If you don't read this book, just know that there's 3 types of people when it comes to business. You have the visionary, the strategist, and the tactician. And they all have very unique places in business, and you need to identify which one you are, which one you want to be. So that book really helped me understand not only my business in real estate, but also just my business when it comes to my software consulting as well as what we do by day.
Awesome.
I love it. All right. And what do you guys do for fun?
So for fun, the biggest thing is, finding that fish, right? Finding what your why is. So what we do is me and my wife kind of came to the conclusion that it's too much to ask. It's almost too difficult to ask somebody what do you want to do, with your life, or what do you want to do, whether it's skiing, fishing, 24/7. So we just want to try a bunch of stuff. So hanging out with my wife and our family, and we're going potentially skiing in a couple weeks again. We like to go to hiking. We like to travel. We want to go to Tahiti some point throughout this year as well. And hopefully real estate is going to be able to allow us to do all those different things. I like playing video games too, MMORPGs, by the way. So fun stuff.
Nice. What's your favorite game? Man.
Final Fantasy 14 right now. It's another backstory.
That game is still around? Oh my God.
That game is still around. It actually got canceled in version 1.0 like 3 years ago, and they resurrected it. No pun intended, because that's a move in the game.
Yeah. Cool.
Nice.
All right, my final question of the day. Sam, what do you think separates the successful people from all those who give up, fail, or never get started?
That's a really difficult. I think folks say grit too much. They say it's just grinding too much. And at the end of the day, to me, this past year, I've gotten the opportunity to do a lot. Well, becoming agents. We got to work with our broker. We actually helped found a property management company called Customer Results Property Management. And we realized through that grind, hard work just isn't enough. You have to figure out why you're doing it. You have to figure out what you're trying to do. And if it helps, one thing I like to tell my friends to do is to imagine your perfect day and then work backwards from there. So at first, we thought we wanted to just get into real estate, so we became agents. That's why we worked in. So we wanted to do anything. We wanted to get a mentor, so we started working in property management. We started that up first. And, we realized that that's not the dream. That was just a vessel to get to the dream. So I think that identifying where you want to be and why you want to be there, more importantly, and if you don't know what you want to do and what that why is, start trying stuff. Stop thinking about it. Just start trying things. And if it messes up, it's better to fail 50 times in a year trying to figure out what you want to do than to sit back for an entire year just thinking about it.
Yeah. Oh, man, Sam. Man, oh, man. I love you, man. This is unbelievable. Keep going. No, seriously. If you haven't figured out your why, stop, rewind, and listen to what Sam just said, starting with the Imagine Your Perfect Day. I don't know that I've heard more wise words said on this podcast than that. And I do mean that. That's unbelievable advice for anybody listening. Not just for real estate, right? I mean, this is for life. You've got to find what you want to do and who you want to be. And God, that's amazing, man. Amazing.
Appreciate it.
Awesome. Well, cool. Well, Sam, this has been awesome. Josh, final question. Not part of the Famous Four.
Yes, exactly. So how can people reach out? How can people get in touch?
First of all, folks call me a millennial. I'm not a millennial. Millennial was anybody born earlier. But I will say, in the millennial tendency, I do have, of course, BiggerPockets, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, LinkedIn, everything else than that. You can search me by my name. I'll show up on there. But also Sam at WhiteHouseRentals.com. And we're also at WhiteHouseRentals.com. That's our formal Airbnb site. You can reach out to us on there if you want to see the project and what our results were. You can go on there as well. Even if you choose to get some ideas, that's the best way to reach out to me.
I love it. That's awesome. Sam, thank you so much for coming on the show. We really do appreciate it. And thanks again for helping to edit Brandon's, it wasn't Heather's book.
Yeah, you never got my invoice. I never got that back. I mean,
I actually sent it to you in the mail, but you didn't. You must not have got that. Sorry.
Oh, I'll send it to you again. Don't worry. Okay. Not a problem.
I'll keep an eye out for it. All right. Well, thank you, Sam. I'll see you around the site.
Absolutely. Thank you both.
All right, guys. That was Sam Valme. Big thanks to Sam for coming in, Airbnb in it, blowing it up, vacation rentals. Hopefully, Turner, you could be as successful as he is, but
I hope so.
I don't know.
I live in so I was always kind of opposed to Airbnb or vacation rentals because I live in an area that isn't real, it's not real touristy. It's a little touristy, but not really touristy, right? Like
feeling not nice.
Yeah, not very nice, rainy,
sunny, not. There's no reason to live there at all.
Pretty much. Have you looked outside, man? I got a beautiful
your view
area.
Is ridiculous.
It's crazy.
Gorgeous.
It's beautiful, but it just rains. Yeah. Like it's pouring rain right now. It's middle of winter and it's pouring rain. Anyway, yeah, I mean, but talking to Sam, it was like he doesn't live in a super vacation area either. Just people happen to be staying. Like people need a place to stay all the time. And so talking with Sam actually convinced me when we recorded this a couple weeks ago. I was like, you know what? I'm going to do it. And so I'm doing it.
Here's why this is cool. So, a lot of people are like, oh, well, why don't you go get so-and-so developer who's done $10 billion in real estate? Or why don't you? And, obviously we would like to have those folks too. But Brandon Turner, the co-host of the show, the guy who's making it happen, helping lots and lots of people be successful, is learning from a guy and getting inspired from a guy who just did his first deal. And I love that. I mean, so, hopefully people have gotten to this point in the show and taking account of this, but the guys who may have skipped out because it's a newbie show might be missing out.
Yeah, I agree. I think you can learn from anybody. If you're open to learn, everybody does real estate a little bit differently, and I try to pick up as much as I can, and I know you do as well, from everybody. Just figuring out, what works for them. How can I incorporate it in my own life?
Yeah. Awesome. Cool. Great show. Well, seriously, lots of luck to you. I do hope that somebody will come and shave your beard and rid you of the fleas.
The fleas keep me company at night, when it gets lonely and quiet.
Do they hump you?
Yeah, it's really nice.
Oh. So that's why your wife sleeps in the other room.
I got nothing.
All right, guys. Well, seriously, big thanks to Sam Sunny and SunMarie, for coming on the show today. It was a great show. Really enjoyed it. And if you are a newbie, get out there, make it happen. Jump on BiggerPockets, jump on our forums, get in our community, start reading the blogs, listen to the podcast, and figure out the action steps you need to take to get to that first deal. We're here for you. The community is here to help you out and help you get successful. And of course, we really do encourage you to get involved in the forums on BiggerPockets. I think there's no better place to start meeting people and building your network, which is absolutely essential for long-term success, I believe, in real estate investing. So get out there, make it happen. Create your free account today at www.biggerpockets.com. And again, this is show 10 of the BiggerPockets podcast. You can check out the show notes at biggerpockets.com/show 210. Finally, if you like the show, if you're enjoying it and you're not yet a subscriber, please do go and hit the subscribe button on your, podcast app, Apple Podcast app, on Stitcher, SoundCloud, wherever else you're listening. And do, if you can, leave us a rating and review. That would help us very much spread the word and let us know how we're doing. So with that, Brandon, you want to take us out?
Out where? To movie, dinner?
I wouldn't be caught in public with you.
All right, for the BiggerPockets podcast. My name is Brandon the Beastman Turner.
Otherwise, no, Harry McFleabag and Josh
Sasquatch. Signing off.
You're listening to BiggerPockets Radio, simplifying real estate for investors large and small. If you're here looking to learn about real estate investing without all the hype, you're in the right place. Be sure to join the millions of others who have benefited from BiggerPockets.com, your home for real estate investing online.